And next is save the employee and capture validate it, right? Function save employee and validate. Now you got into another function. So total how many? 4 functionalities. You'll have to say login now. Login also I will change a little bit. Say for each login I will create one function. It's functionally decomposing now. For one thing, one login, normally one username that you will be creating. Str username equal to this. Str password equal to this time it should be admin login. Then you say str browser to execute. So no arguments for every of the function here. Right. So everything what I'm doing is I'm just converting everything into the function now. I'll change the approach a little bit. First you say you have to launch the application. Then you have to navigate to admin. Then navigate to add employee page, enter details, call uh, enter credentials, call save and validate. But after entering it, you need to capture the screenshot here. You've got close browsers also. We are going to implement further. We are going to change this a lot of things further. I'll just give you an overall idea how that data driven works. Sorry, hybrid approach. Okay, close browsers. Then you've got logout. So what I did now, just a small change that I did. What is that this time? Close browsers, I don't have that function yet. We need to create the close browsers function. Um, like this. What I did, I just did a functional decomposition right now. Same only, the same script. What I did now, I just functionally decomposed. What is meant by functional decomposition? Converted every small piece of functionality into a function, and I'm just making only the functional. This is another approach now. Okay, so earlier approach is pure data driven. Now it's a functional decomposition plus data driven approach. How do you describe the same thing? Now every small functionality, just add one point in between. So our scripts are made like this: every small functionality converted into a function, and we'll be having a function calls in the action. This is not hybrid approach yet. Okay, it's not a hybrid approach. Now next, what you do, you treat every keyword as a keyword. Sorry, every functionality, every small function as a keyword here. Functionality, every function related to a functionality, then a keyword. Nothing but close browsers, a functionality, an event, then that's a keyword. And login, launch, admin login, and navigate to add employee, enter employee details, credentials, all this. Now, what I do, I'll go with this. I'll just create another spreadsheet now this time. I will write a flow. The flow for one test case, one spreadsheet, again one script, one spreadsheet. What is that? PIM EMP underscore create 001. So now you say keywords, nothing but the flow, or you can write anything. Maybe you can say flow or the keyword. Okay. Now, so how the flow would be now? Whatever the functionalities that need to be executed in flow. To execute. Then you say first close browsers, launch application, login, and then navigate to add employee page. Each function could be a keyword. Enter EMP credentials, save employee, and validate. Sorry. You say logout. Whatever the functionalities that need to be executed, right? You can just list out here. Then in this, you are going to describe some more. From here to here, it has to be executed multiple times, right? Okay. You write group name. You create a group now. So what you do, if you want to make from here to here one group, you say group, then you give here. Maybe you can say EMP. You can give any group name. You can change the naming conventions little later, but I'm just giving an idea here. End. Okay, end. Now next is number of iterations that need to be executed. Iterations to execute. Iterations to execute. This time you need to map with the data sheet in the Excel. You've got Excel, right? So the data file. Now you say all in the iterations to execute. Then it should execute for all the iterations, all the rows of the data table, that Excel file. So you need to map to the data file now. Then if you say no, it has to execute only for one row, then you say that 3. What does it mean? It should execute only for third data set. Or if you want to execute for particular data sets there, like this. That means that it should execute for second row and third row, right? So whatever have been is, those should be executed, but sometimes some of the functionalities will be executed based on the data sets also. Okay, next. I mean, still a lot of things need to be implemented. This is just a skeleton that we are creating. I'll say test data folder, and then I'll say execution flow. Done. Now what you are doing now? Okay, so you should not call the functions directly here. You should not call the functions directly here. You are going to write some logic. It's going to be very complex logic. Okay, we need to do it. Now what you have to do? There are two approaches that you are implementing now. One is the test data you are parameterizing from Excel and XML. Also, you are defining the execution flow in the spreadsheet. Whatever the flow that needs to be executed, you define here. So what it has to do, your script should execute the functionalities depends on the flow that what you have defined here. So first script should connect it to this, and script should connect it to the data file, and if you have given all here, then it should be executed for, or this group should be executed for all the rows of the data. That means all the combinations. If we give particular here, then it should execute only for that particular group. Okay, so now this is, each function is nothing but a keyword. Each function is nothing but a keyword here. So depends on the flow that what you have written here, depends on the data sets that what you have mentioned here, then script will be executing in the same flow with the given number of data sets. So what you are doing in this approach, data is being parameterized so that it is data driven. Execution flow is defined through the keywords. Then it's a functional keywords. So mix of keywords the functional decomposition and data driven approach. But now I have hard coded the function calls, but I am not going to hard code the function calls. I'm going to remove the function calls here. I'm not going to have the function calls directly in the action. So what it has to do is, first it has to take all these things from Excel, this spreadsheet. First it has to connect it to the execution flow workbook. Then it has to get the data from this flow chart, the flow sheet, and then it has to loop from first keyword to last keyword. Whatever the keyword said as yes, it has to execute. Okay, and how many times it has to be executed depends on the group that you describe. You need to write a lot of groups, because within this again you might need to create a subgroup like that. Okay, you need to do a few other things also. So I'm just changing the flow now. The same script, whatever we have written, I converted into the functions. But this time, instead of executing the functions directly in the actions, then what I do, I write the flow in an Excel, and then I will ask my script to take the flow from Excel. Each functionality would be treated as a keyword now. So this approach, normally you call it as keyword driven plus functional decomposition plus data driven approach, nothing but a hybrid approach. Then if you go with this kind of approach, then what is the flexibility that you will be getting? One is data parameterization is normal, so that you will get have the flexibility of running the script with multiple combinations of data. That's one thing that you will get. The second advantage that what you get here, second advantage what you get is, okay, since the flow is parameterized and the flow has been described from external source, tomorrow if a new functionality needs to be executed, then no need to change anything in the script. What you can do, you can create a new function and then you can keep the function here, so that script will be executing in the new flow. Or if any of the functionality has been removed, then you don't need to change the script. You can come here and then you can remove that particular function. So that means the flow can be described from the spreadsheet. So if the flow needs to be changed in the future, you don't need to change anything in the script. And another thing is, if in case now see, since okay, you have made every small functionality as function, you divided the functionalities into every individual one. Tomorrow if any change has come in any of the functionality, now assume that in employee credentials, while entering employee credentials, they have removed the status, they have removed the status column field. If they remove the status field, then what you have to do, you have to go to the script and then you need to do the necessary modification. If you have directly written that step inside the action, you need to open the test and then you need to modify it. If you have written multiple actions or multiple scripts for the same, then you have to go to every script and then you need to do the modification. But in this case, what you need to do, you don't need to modify the test, you don't need to modify any action or anything. What you can do, you can just open that library and then you can go to that particular line and then you can move. That means still script level modification is there, but not too much complex this time. You just open that particular function, whatever is written for that functionality, then just you remove. So that means, like, since every function contains very less amount of code, very for very small functionality, then it will be easy for you to modify this time. Easy to understand which line needs to be modified, because one functionality, one function. So very less number of lines are there in each function, so that it will be easy for you to modify the code also. So tomorrow a new step need to be added, then you don't need to change whole script. You can just go to a particular function and then you can update the function. Easy, scalable, reusable. Also you get the flexibility of running with any flow that what you want, and running with any data set that whatever you want, or you want to run with multiple combinations. But we need to write a lot of code for this further to implement this. But this is just a skeleton of hybrid approach. So in hybrid approach, what you will be doing is, we will describe the execution flow through the functional keywords. Functional keyword is nothing but a function related to each functionality. And the data will be driven or parameterized from external spreadsheets. and every small functionality is made as a function, and every function is treated as a keyword. That's it. Okay, so a small change in the approach whatever we have implemented yesterday. So the changes, just two things that I've changed. I made every small thing into a function, and none of the function has got the arguments. If you observe, right, values are directly taken into the function, and normally whatever the values we need to pass across the functions, I'm making them as a global variables. So when you make them as a global variables, if you initiate in the action, then that can be taken into the function. If you initiate in the function, that can be taken in another function or another action, only when it is global. So I'm making every variable as a global, and then I'm going using global variables mostly. Or you can use any environment variables, internal environment variables. So we need to write the code, and as of now, I will not touch the much code and all. Okay, so I'll do it from the beginning again. A lot of things. Now, what things that you need to do is first, you need to take the list of all the keywords. You need to take list of all the keywords, and then what you have to do is first, okay, you have to know two things: at which row the group has been started, at which row group has been closed, and then you need to execute your script from group starting to group ending. This has to be looped, right? So from this row to this row should be looped for this many data sets. So that's where the complexity comes in fact. But for now, the another question is here. Normally, how do you, let's say here I have got a function like this. How do you read the data from Excel? Set OXL. I mean, we have written that already. We have written this already, but I'm just using a VB script now. Say create object of Excel. We are using DLL only. Excel.application. Set O workbook equal to OXL.workbook. Set O sheet equal to, I'll say str keyword name. What I'll do, I don't use row count and all. O sheet dot. What does it mean? Let me do one thing. O browser equal to. For I equal to count. Dot close. Right? So it closes each and every browser. Yeah, all the people knows almost, right? Maybe something that which you might not be knowing. something that which you might not be aware of this. Reporter.filter. I have never explained about this. Okay, but did I explain on error resume next? I've explained error object also, but I've never used on error go to 0. Right? So you are implementing error handling techniques, everything now. Okay, so I got closed browsers for here, but give me some time. I know you will slowly get that. So I got closed browsers. Function name and keyword name should be same. Now here str sheet name equal to, I'm giving the sheet name str workbook equal to execution flow. That's a data flow. Now what is there in second row first column? What will be coming into keyword name? Str keyword name. Wait a moment. Wait. Now just go line by line. Sheet name I'm just giving hard coding for now, and path I have given. Just connecting to say Excel and opening the particular workbook here and connecting to a particular sheet in that workbook. Now what I'm doing, I'm reading the first, actually it should be from second row to last row of that keyword. Then you need to read one by one keyword and execute. That's how we'll be doing. Now, but as of now, I don't want to execute all the keywords, but I'm just executing only one keyword. What I did here, worksheet dot cells of second row comma 1, because if this works, I can apply for all the keywords in the loop. Okay, I can just loop from first row to last row, and then I can get one by one keyword and ask to execute. So I'm reading one by one keyword name, nothing but a function name, right? Each keyword is nothing but a function name there. I'm reading one by one function name from the Excel. I'll say, don't write this. Don't write. Okay. Now I'll say call str keyword name. So since okay, second row first column, what it has got here, it has got closed browsers. So now this value closed browsers will be coming into str keyword name. Now you execute this line, what will happen? Say call during runtime. You just say that you are running now. Variable value will be replaced. Sorry, variable will be replaced by value, right? So now when you say call str keyword name, that means call close browsers. What does it mean? Call close browsers should execute close browsers, right? Right? Okay, let's see what will happen. I say run from step. You know what is meant by run from step? Execute only from that particular step. What happened here? Type mismatch. Str keyword name. But let's see what is the value coming into that str keyword name. What's coming here? Close browsers only coming. So that means it should be called close browsers only. But why it is not executing? Because that is the value, the close browsers is not coming as a function. The value is coming as a string. But actually that string represents a function. But now when it is treated as a string, that will be taken as a value, not as a function. So the closed browser is taken as a closed browsers is taken as a string here, not taken as a function. But what you have to do now? That's what something called, it's one function called eval comes into the picture. Something called eval. What eval does exactly is the simple, it will eval that. It says user defined type. So what it evals means, it will remove the, I mean it will just evaluate that string whatever has been placed inside that variable, and it takes the absolute type of it. If that string is representing an object, then it will be taken that object. If the string is representing a function, then the function will be taken. If the string is representing an array, then array will be taken out. If the string is representing, some other object, then that object will be taken, like this. So what eval does, it will evaluate the value inside the variable and taken the type of that particular value, exactly what the value is representing exactly. If the value is representing an object, that object will be taken. If the value is representing a function, the function will be taken. Okay. So what you have to do now is exactly, you have to say something called eval. You can use call also. There is no, I mean, you can still use call, but a function can be called without using call statement also, right? I just removed the call because instead of using two statements there. Now let me execute this. Actually, it's executed now, but since no browsers are open, so multiple browsers are open. Closing all browsers. Maybe Internet Explorer also closed. Right? That means that now the function is being executed. Right? That's what the eval does. So in the hybrid approach, what you have to do is you take each keyword, each function into a variable, then you cannot say call that variable. So after reading the keyword, you say eval of, call eval of that particular keyword, so that it will take everything as a function and then executes it. Okay. So when you're using this approach, then this is one function that you need to use. But there is one more function that's called execute. Remember, this is important for interviews. What makes the difference between eval and execute? Okay. I'll just create another function, small function for now. I'll say function test str equal to some value that I'm generating. Then I'll say test equal to str. What does it mean now? Function returns the value, test returns the value. So I will store a variable like this, str str keyword name equal to test. But here I'm reading from Excel, but instead of that I'm just hard coding the function name here. But usually this will be coming from the Excel only. Now what I do is message box eval of test. Sorry, function name is test only, right? Eval of str keyword name, sorry. Okay, eval of str keyword name. Now is it returning a value now? In the message box, whatever the function returning a value, it's returning, right? I'll say execute. What's happening? Not taking. What does exactly what it does? Execute and eval to normally for the same purpose to evaluate inside the string and then execute, but execute only to execute the statement or the function, and execute method will not return the value. It just executes the function and doesn't take the return from the function. But what eval does, it evaluates and executes, and if that statement is returning a value, the function return a value, eval will be observing the return value also. So this is one of the interview question that has been asked. What makes the difference between execute and eval? You say that eval means it will evaluate and execute and takes the return. But execute means just evaluates and executes, doesn't take the return. Okay. So another interview question, common question that has been asked is, so they have asked like this: A equal to 20, B equal to 30, C equal to A equal to B. That's a condition, right? Now I need to check whether C is right or not. What I have written in the C, I have given a condition like A equal to B. Now I'll say message box eval of C false. So what it does now, it evaluates, since the C represents a condition there, condition will be verified. If the condition satisfied, true will be returned. If the condition is not satisfied, false will be returned. But same thing now, they asked, okay, if I use eval for that, what will be the output? If I use execute, then what will be the output? Just executes it. It will not evaluate that. It will not check that. It will not take the return from it. Okay. So that makes the difference between execute and eval. One of the very important interview question that has been asked very frequently in many interviews. What is the difference between eval and execute? Where did you use it? Now where we use is, because we are reading the function names from here, so every function name will be taken as a string value. Every function will be taken as a string value. So I cannot directly execute that. So what I have to do now? So after taking the value from the Excel, I need to evaluate that value and then I need to execute it. So when I evaluate, close browsers will be turned into a function after evaluating so that I can execute. Then this will be turned into a function so that I can execute. So in this approach, that's the reason I did not start with script, because this is something that you need to understand before we implement a keyword driven and hybrid approach. So you need to understand eval function. So in this hybrid approach or keyword driven approach, then we will be using eval function to execute the functions from Excel. So in this case, what you can do, if you don't use eval, you know what you have to do? You have to write case statement there. Select case, str keyword name. If case close browsers, call close browsers function. Case login, call login function, like this. But if you want to, if you do like this, how many functions you will be creating? Hundreds of functions you will be creating, hundreds of case statements that you need to use. That is going to be difficult. But in this case now, you don't need to check the keyword value. You can directly execute based on what you have written here. Okay, so remember this: execute and eval. So what you have to do in this case is, and you don't need this now, You need to create one more here. O Excel flow equal to same thing here. You are creating another instance of the same class, because for one instance data should get into this, and for another second instance the flow should come, because we are using two excels now. Then what you do here is excel flow dot read to array. What you have to do, sorry, comma same sheet, right? Sheet name is being same. So what it does here, the data from this sheet will be coming into this now. Okay, inside this there I have used one global variable array. Okay, so get data into array. I'm not defining an array. Array is defined as a global inside that class, inside that method. So value is being stored inside the global variable of that particular class, so that whenever I use the function get data from array, then it will be connected to the same global variable. That's it. So data is stored internally, internal to the class. Okay, now what I have to do? We have used another method, say int total keywords equal to o excel flow dot get total row, same methods only, the same class it is. Now it will tell you the list of keywords. So then what I have to do, for str keyword number int keyword number equal to 1 to cint of into total keywords minus 1. You say str keyword name equal to o excel flow dot, what is the read from array. Is this the method we have created? We will see here. Get from array. Get from array. What is the value that you need to get? Flow, or the key can change the name also. Comma int keyword number. And also you say first bln to execute equal to you'll say to execute. Then if bln to execute equal to yes, you read that keyword and eval of str keyword name. But now what it does exactly, this is also, I mean, still what it does, it executes from first keyword to last keyword. But there is another problem with this. Again, what you have to do inside this itself, first keyword to last keyword, one flow, but within that first keyword to last keyword, in between some of the keywords need to be executed for multiple times. That means that this has to be again looped, but when it has to be looped, not all the time. It has to be looped only when the group has been started, and loop should be ended till end. So that means this should be treated as one iteration, that selection. That is a complexity for us now. Okay, how do you make only this particular part as a group? Now we have seen in the Excel, we have seen how to loop it from first row to last row, but from first row to last row, in between some rows again the sub nested loop. Then how do you make that, nested loop again? You can't directly say that. You can't directly say execute from fifth row to eighth row in a loop. The reason, because tomorrow if you remove one of the functionality, what will happen? This time it has to execute fifth row to seventh row only. Earlier it was fifth row to eighth row. You cannot hard code. Tomorrow a new functionality has been introduced and a new functionality comes here, then you have to execute from fifth row to ninth row. So that means that the nested loop from which row to which row it has to be executed will be keep changing every time. So I should never hard code it. So what should I do now? So that's something that we need to write, but that is going to be a bit more complex, okay, than the expected. So that's the reason I just keep it pending so that we can start fresh, and then because it consumes time, at least 1 hour to 1.5 hour time that it will take. So that's the reason I'm not starting with that, so that I can start tomorrow, and then we can continue. So this is what exactly that you are going to do now. Inside this again, what you have to do, if say all, then that group should be executed from first data set to last data set. Two loops further we need. This keyword to this keyword, one loop. These keywords again from these data sets, another loop. Right? Two loops that we are going to do it, but not just like nested loop that what we have seen, because row number should not be hard coded from which row to which row it has to be executed. That's why I said that it's very very complex. A lot of thought process needed for that. Okay, so but that's why this is the skeleton of the hybrid approach. If you go with this approach, then what you'll do is, what flexibility you'll get. Anybody can build the flow once all the functions are created. Only thing that what you need to guide them is what functions you have created for which functionality. As like BPT, this looks very similar to the BPT. If you see, if you observe, very similar to BPT. BPT also we did same thing. Every small functionality we made as a component, and then we, if you want to execute some of the components multiple times, we grouped them, right? But only thing is that data iterations we added as an iterations there, but here iterations data is coming from external Excel file, which is very very similar to the BPT. Actually BPT has come from this approach. Instead of implementing this much and writing this much code, then they said that okay, why do you write that much code and all, we'll give the inbuilt approach, then no need of too much of programming to implement that approach. Just by dragging and dropping the components, then the approach will be coming to you. So from that thought only they have given a BPT. This is very very similar to the BPT approach. BPT is nothing but kind of an hybrid approach, that's it, not so different. But only thing is that comes inbuilt with the QC, and here to implement that you are writing too much of program. That saves time in this approach programming, that's it. QC, sorry, that BPT approach saves the time here. But if you are expert in the programming, then you don't need to go for BPT. We can go with this kind of approach, that's it. But only thing is, every small functionality you make it as a function. Okay, so this is the approach. This is the second framework that what we are going to, third framework, BPT, data driven, and this is going to be a third framework. But this is going to be a little complex in the explanation. Explanation would be easy, but the graph or the chart and all is going to be, sorry, the image is going to be architectural diagram is going to be a bit more complex. So you need to understand too many questions will be coming in this. But to be frank, if you explain this approach to them when they ask about framework, but if you explain confidently and thoroughly, then your technical interview is through just by explaining this. You can drive the interview. If you explain this approach confidently, you only drive the interview, because you can easily predict the questions that what you will be getting. Okay, so because when you explain all this, then instead of what they want to ask, you are explaining many things here, you're explaining the complex approach, then they will get the curiosity like how you have implemented this complex approach, how you are using nested loops and all. So the questions will be coming there. So that means that okay, so they wanted to ask some questions, but in between with your approach, you are building the curiosity from in them. So the questions will be changed because when the curiosity has been built, then they will be asking on what you have explained than what they want to ask. That's it. Okay, but I will not say that you have to take this mandatorily, but you see this approach and first you practice the explanation, and then based on your confident level and based on the comfortability in explanation, then you opt for this. Okay, so I mean it's not mandatory to explain or mandatory to take, but some people, if you are comfortable and confident in the explanation of this approach, then you take this approach and then you can explain. But if you are very confident, I will say this is one of the best approach to explain in the interviews, right? Because it makes into a complex one, and they will be very curious to say how this you have implemented this much complex and uh, I mean approach is simple, but implementation is complex. That's what I mean to say. Okay, so tomorrow I will explain this thoroughly, this approach. The whole framework will implement. But as of now, this is just I just gave you the skeleton because if I start coding now, then you can't get now because at least it would need a minimum of 1 to 1.5 hours to complete that approach. I need to explain too many things there. So once we do that, then this is another approach. Then the last approach that what we will see is keyword driven. But if you see in every approach, there is something that you will be learning, right? Yeah, earlier till now, we have not got a situation to understand eval and execute. Now we have got. During this implementation, you are going to learn another thing. One more thing that you are going to learn in the Excel macros and all you are going to see. Okay. So some more methods that you are going to understand the next approach, in this approach. The keyword driven, another one, so that you will be almost knowing everything of EFT further. Okay.